My dear friends, today we're going to learn the fifth pasuk in Shir Hashirim. Shchora ani ונאוה. I am black and beautiful. Benois Yerushalayim, the daughters of Yerushalayim. Ki ahali Kedar, like the tents of Kedar. Ki Iriya Shleimai, like the Iriya is like a tent. It's a different way of building a tent. I was still going to explain Rashi, but just I want to go through the pasuk. Then pasuk 6, Al tiruni, don't look at me in a negative way. Shani shecharchoires. You might think, you look at me in a negative way because I'm black. But I want you to know, Shez zafani hashamesh. Why did I get black? Because the sun was shining on me. That's what made me black. I didn't get black because I'm black. Right? I get black because someone else is shining the sun. Yeah. B'nei imi, the children of my mother, nicharubi. Nicharubi is like almost like they shtecht me, like they incited me, they got me. And samuni netera sakramim, they put me in a place where the kramim is like vineyards of, kedem, kramim. Yeah. But karmi shali means my vineyard, loy notarti, I did not give up watching it. That's the two psukim. What is the simple pshat talking about? Like, what is these two psukim talking about? This is speaking about Knesset Yisrael, the Jewish people, say to the nations that if you look at me, you might think that my actions are not good because I made the egel. After Hashem gave the Torah, like almost 40 days after they made the egel hazahav. Mm-hmm. So by making the egel, it made me like black. It made me like not positive. So you might think I'm like a black man, like a bad person. But remember one thing, even though I made the egel 40 days after I got the Torah, but there is something that I did good, which is I was the only nation that received the Torah. When Hashem came to give the Torah, He went to every nation and asked them if they wanted. And every nation gave an excuse why the Torah is not for them. When it came to the Jewish people, they said, Na'aseh v'nishma. They didn't even ask, what does the Torah say? As long as it comes from Hashem, they accepted it. So even though I did a terrible thing that I made the egel, so I'm black. Black is like not clean, like black. But I did accept the Torah. Number 2, when I was in Mitzrayim, the Jewish people, this is Knesset Yisrael, I was there for 200 years before Hashem took us out. And when I left, there was a whole group of Mitzrayim called Erev Rav. They were like, Moshe didn't want to take, Hashem didn't want it, but Moshe took a whole group of Egyptians that officially they converted, but it wasn't like a full conversion. And they always kept instigating us to do the wrong thing. So if you look at the Jew is beautiful. But when you have B'nai Imi is the place I was brought up, which is Egypt, those people, Egyptian people that became Jewish, so to say, they converted to Judaism, they're the ones that always blocked me, and they the ones that incite me to do the egel. So all the sins you read in the Torah throughout the 40 years was not the Jewish people that they wanted. It was the Erev Rav, the B'nai Imi, Bnei Imi is a metaphor, the place I was brought up, which was Egypt for 200 years. So these people that I was brought up for 200 years, they're the ones that convinced us to always do the wrong thing.
Korach was Egyptian?
No, we're speaking about Egel. The Egel Azal. Korach was not an Egel. It wasn't against Hashem. It was against Moshe. It wasn't against. But no, it was a different thing. He wanted to change a leader. It wasn't against Hashem. Anyways, it was a different thing. So you got the concept? So the idea is I'm black, but I'm beautiful means that in my actions, some things you think I'm doing that's not good, but really you should know what a Jew really is beautiful. The reason I was caught into this mess is because I grew up in the Egyptian, and when they left Egypt, they converted with us, and they kept instigating us and doing all these things. That's what Shalom Melech says. Clear? Mm-hmm. So now we go into the Maimah on page 19. We're going to do this Ois, Aleph. It's a new Maimah. So it's I call it the third Maimah in the sense it's a third pasuk. We did on Shlomo, we did on I have to look at the pasuk here. Reach Shmanecha, Turak. So today we're doing Shchorani. There's a lot on this. There's a lot of stuff, but we do ot by ot, meaning paragraph by paragraph. So, and then this Maimah has like a few paragraphs. We'll do one at a time. And then there is another Maimah, again on the same pasuk, with a few paragraphs. And another Maimah on the same pasuk with a few paragraphs. So there's a few, and the reason is because this is really the Jews today. Jews today, from the outside, sometimes you think they're very, negative and very, hard and very, but really they're beautiful. It's just that they're influenced by influence, but that's not who their essence is. Their essence is to be good and happy Jewish people. So ready to start inside. You ready?
Ready.
Shchora ani ונאוה בנוis Yerushalayim. I am black but beautiful, the daughters of Yerushalayim. Al tiruni, don't look at me outside. Shanish chachoires, that I look black. Sheshlafani hashamesh, the sun shined on me, made me black, but really, I'm a beautiful person. She says, how do we relate to black in spiritual Chassidut? What does black mean? Black is what does it mean? He says, "V'yuvin al pi maimer azal." This is a Gemara. This is not Chassidut. It says, "HaTorah nitna be'esh choira al gabe esh levana." When Hashem gave the Torah, how did Moshe know what it says in the Torah? There was no physical parchment or ink. So Hashem wrote the Torah for Moshe, black fire on white fire. So the black were the letters. The white was the parchment in spirituality. So it's not really, there's no parchment there, but it's white fire. Now the truth is, how do we write a Torah today? You have a parchment, which is the white, and you have the ink, which is black. Which one is more, how would I put it, more energy in it? Is in the parchment or in the letters?
No.
Tell me why the letters? Because the letters bring out what you're supposed to do. So he wants to say a very interesting thing. The letters limit the infinity. Meaning, white fire means no limit.
Wow.
Look at this. When you have a clear glass that's, we call it transparent, there's no
obstruction.
it's infinite. A letter now takes this infinite and now defines it to a letter. It's interesting, there's a law in Torah, when you write the letters in the Torah, you have to make sure each letter is not allowed to touch the other letter. There has to be a parchment all around the letter, meaning the white all around the black. Because the white is the infinite, there's no letters on it. It's like, it doesn't have a definition, because it's not limited, it's just infinite. The letters put a limit on it. You get a little what I'm saying? So when Moshe got the Torah, how did he know to write Bereshit? Because he wrote with ink and parchment. Because he looked in the spiritual Torah, he saw black letters Bereshit on white fire. Because it was black fire on white fire. That's how he was able to write the letters. Is that clear? So we're going to get a little more into this white and black fire. But the black in Torah is the limit, is what puts a limit to something. The white is infinite. So in a sense, the parchment has more, I don't like to use the word holiness, but there's a lot more energy because there's no limit to it. It's the letters that have limits to it. Interesting enough, according to Torah, you're not supposed to touch the parchment with your hand.
Oh, I spoke about it.
Yeah, you're supposed to touch it with anything, a cloth or something, because if not, you become tamei, because it's infinite. If, God forbid, a fire breaks out in a shul or somewhere, you have to run to take out the Torahs. So it says, interesting thing, that even if the Torah, unfortunately, a lot of it burned, but if there's still parchment with some letters, you take, even if the whole, you still have to save it because the parchment is also holy. If, God forbid, the letters jump off, if the ink, after many years, the ink jumps off, you can't just throw out the parchment. You have to bury it. I'm just giving you just to understand that white and black means the infinite and the finite. I'm just trying to define it. Just like the whole Torah was given to Moshe, black fire on white fire, now we'll understand what the Torah tells us, B'yud Nivra ha'olam haba. The whole entire Olam Haba, which is Gan Eden, was created just with one letter, Yud. That created the whole thing. What does it mean it created? What does it mean Hashem used the letter Yud and created Olam Haba? Same thing. B'vchinas eish chayra al gabe eish levana. Just like the Torah was given to Moshe, black fire on white fire, letters on parchment, so too when you say Hashem created the world with the letter Yud, the Yud is the black fire, but there's also a white fire behind that that's really giving the energy to the Yud to create the Olam Haba. And that's what I'm trying to say. So it's not just the letter Yud. The letter Yud is made with two parts. The black Yud, the black fire, and the white aura fire. Well, we're going to get to it, but that, you understand? So I'm now going to explain to you what these two letters are, the black and the white. The white, the parchment. Once you understand that, we'll get, because we're speaking about Shchora ani, I am black, but I'm beautiful. So he's going to get to that the Shchora is like the letters, and the beautiful is the white. So it's not so bad to be black. It's a pretty good thing to be letters of the Torah. But we got to have to understand a little, what is letters? What is this parchment? What is this all about? So look what he says. We spoke a little about Gan Eden last week, but he wants to understand something very interesting. You're telling me that with a letter Yud, the whole Gan Eden and Amul Haba was created. It bothers me. You know why? B'chinas Olam Haba, Gan Eden Elyon, Hu Tainug HaNeshamas Masa. What's Gan Eden? What do we do in Gan Eden? It's the enjoyment of your neshama from the revelation of Hashem in Gan Eden. Tainug Nifla Adein Kates. It's such a great enjoyment. There's no limit. Ve'in tachas b'li shir u'gvul. There's no. So when your neshama is in Gan Eden, it's enjoying Hashem. There's no limit. It's infinite. V'lachein, if you remember, we spoke about it once. Al Elisha. Elisha is the Jew that became Apikoros. He knew the whole entire Torah. He taught Rabbi Meir, and eventually he rebelled against the whole thing, and he was called Acher. Acher means they always refer to him the other one, the other guy. They don't even want to say his name. Yeah, Otto, that guy. He was so.
He was so knowledgeable and teaching others.
And he got knocked out.
Then he went and
you'll soon see something. He was once walking. This is interesting about Yom Kippur. He was once walking behind the Bet HaMikdash because he lived in the end of the second Bet HaMikdash. The end. This is like 2,100 years ago. He was walking behind and he heard a voice coming out of the Kodesh HaKadashim. Everyone, in Hebrew, everyone is accepted if they do tshuva, except Acher.
Sure.
That means Hashem is ready to accept everyone if they do tshuva except Acher. So Acher said, okay, goodbye. He left the whole thing. So when he died, his student Rabbi Meir, which was a great Rabbi Meir Bel Hanes, wanted to help his neshama get to Gan Eden. How is he going to do it? He has to go through the process of cleansing his neshama, which is called Gehenna. So he says, Mutav, Rabbi Meir said, Mutav de ledaine v'lesel la'amad osi. It's worth he should burn for 70 years to bring him to Gan Eden. It's worth. Rabbi Meir said it. Why? Ki kedai kol yisuri Gehenom yud beis chodesh. The maximum you could be in Gehenom is 12 months. We do Kaddish for 11 months because we don't want to accuse the person who was saying Kaddish that he got the maximum amount in Gehenom, so we stop at 11, not to make it feel as if he deserved to be there for 12 months, you know what I'm saying? Because the Kaddish tries to get him out, get the neshama out. So Rabbi Meir said, it's worth that this Acher should get it's worth he should suffer as much as so he could get a little this great enjoyment of Gan Eden Olam Haba. Why? This enjoyment in Gan Eden has no limit. It's like an infinite enjoyment. There is a concept in it's called in Torah and other things in business. You weigh the pros and the cons, meaning you say, okay, I'm taking a chance, I'm risking, but I hope that I'll gain, and you always measure the risk to the gain. So the bigger the gain, the bigger the risk. When it comes to Gan Eden, he said to him, there's no limit in Gan Eden how much you're going to enjoy, so give him as much suffering. We're not going to measure and say, you know what, it's worth to suffer 1 day in Gehenna to get Gan Eden. 2 days is too much. No. He said, whatever he needs to suffer, let him suffer. Even if it's 12 months, a year, 70 years. Why? Because the enjoyment of Gan Eden is infinite. Mm-hmm. So you can't measure pros and cons. Because what I'm going to give you has no limit. So it's not worth. You don't say, oh, should I suffer this much to get it? There's no measurement because it's an infinite enjoyment. So if it's an infinite enjoyment, as long as I can clean you It doesn't matter how much you suffer, it's worth it, because that infinite enjoyment is far beyond the suffering. This is what he says. If there was a limit of how much enjoyment you have in Gan Eden, you could say, oh, you know what? It's worth it, not worth it. Maybe, you know what, then I don't want to be in Gan Eden. Let me not suffer. No. Rabbi Meir says no. Be'emes hu bli shir gvul. Gan Eden has no limit. So let him suffer. Therefore, it's worth all the suffering, because the enjoyment is so infinitely infinite that it's worth any suffering is worth it. Clear? So you see that this Gan Eden, this Olam Haba, it's a pretty infinite enjoyment to say that he could suffer so much to get there. So v'im kein tzarich lahavin, I don't understand. He says, Ma'u b'chinas hayud, shemimenu niva, how could you, from such a small letter yud, create such an infinite enjoyment of Gan Eden? It's too small of a yud. The letter yud is so tiny. To say that this letter had so much power that it could create this infinite Gan Eden from such a small little yud, something doesn't make sense.
Where is that little Gan Eden came from? Where it started?
In the Torah.
But when? At what point?
But Hashem created it before He created the world. Before He created the world.
Talking about this Gan Eden in the Torah. And then when you start talking about the Gan Eden?
In Torah Shabbat Peh, in the Talmud, in the Mishnah, not in Torah Shebachsav, but in Torah Shabbat Peh, it speaks a lot about it.
So there is no God promise of Gan Eden and stuff like that.
Not in the Torah. In the Torah Shabbat Peh, it's full. And Kabbalah, Chassidut, is a lot about it. And Olam Haba, we speak about Kol Yisrael, Yesh Lam Chelek L'Olam Haba. We speak about it a lot. So now you understand the problem? How could a little yud create such an infinite creation? So now we go to the second column on page 19, to understand how could this little yud create such an infinite Gan Eden. Eoy said, from my flesh, my body, I could understand Hashem. Why? Let me explain to you why. The way our body works and our soul, it says Hashem created us in His image. So, just like we have a brain, that the brain is divided in three, which is Chachma, Bina, Das. You have a heart that has the 7 emotional character traits. You have the action. Whatever we have is all a reflection how it is above. We're like, in Torah we're called Olam Katan. Every human is a miniature entire world. So you have the entire godly Sefirot and the Gan Eden. If I look at me, I could see how it works there. Now let's look at ourselves. How does it work? שגילוי אויסיס ההברה הוא במחשב ודיבור, אבל בשכל עדיין אין שם בחינס אויסיס כלל. אלא כאשר הוא מחשב ומהר בהם, אזי נולדו בחינס אויסיס ונסגלו בהל מחשבתי, ובוא לידי גילוי ביוסה כשמדבר לזולוסי, והם בחינס לבושים So what he's saying is, think about ourselves. There's two parts, there's thinking and there's speaking. Could you think without letters?
Yeah.
Without words? What are you thinking in your mind?
Pictures, like that.
You're thinking words. Whatever you're thinking is, you're thinking concepts. Concepts it's not the same, maybe words as I express in words, but I'm thinking with letters, with words. It's a higher level than the words of speech. but I'm still using words. Now, words, when I say good morning or Shema Yisrael, how does my mouth pronounce those words? Like, how does it get that my lips move and say Shema Yisrael? Like, where does the letters come from? Where does it originate from? So I want to tell you a very interesting thing. In Chochmat Hadibur v'Hamachshava, there's 5 parts of your body that create letters: lips, throat, tongue, palate, the cheeks, and your teeth. That's why a person doesn't have teeth. There's some letters he can't pronounce. It's harder to pronounce. These 5, each one of them, there's 5 different letters that come out. Like Aleph, Hey, Ches, Ayin comes out from your throat. Beis, Vav, Mem, Pei is your lip. Beis, Mem, and so on. But when I'm talking, do I think in my mind that my mouth should move like this, and my lips should be like this, and my teeth, like what makes all these movements? So he says an interesting thing. What causes all the words to come out is not your thinking and not your words. It's your etzem hanefesh, your soul. Your soul is full of words. Let's call it, it's full of letters, but it's not yet revealed. When do the letters become words and are revealed? Is when you think about it or you speak about it. So it's never going to be, oh, let me think about moving my lips so I could say oh. Or let me think about moving my tongue so I could say da. I don't think like that. I want to speak, automatically the words come out. I don't need to think to make the words come out. It's automatic, because my nefesh wants to say good morning. It's going to make my lips and my mouth and everything move automatic. I don't need to think of it. A good example is when, God forbid, someone has, God forbid, a stroke, and they want to get him to speak again. Over there, the way they try to do it is they try to train him which vocalization he has to express for these words. You know, like they move the lips, move that, because he has to like reprogram himself. But the truth is, that's not going to get him clear words. That's just getting the tools to be able to move. But really, the words come out from your etzem hanefesh. However, in order for words to be expressed, you need to either think or speak. If you don't think or you don't speak, the words are not coming out. Now, the seichel is the intellect itself. What's the intellect itself? Let me give you an example. Like, you want to understand how the movement of the planets and how the sun, the moon moves, the intellect. The intellect itself, before you think about it and before you express it, it's just plain seichel. It doesn't have yet letters. Only when you start thinking about it and you start speaking, that's when the words are created. You get a little what I'm trying to say? So now what am I trying to say? When I say with a yud, Hashem created the olam haba, what does it mean with a yud? So let's first think, where does the yud come from? Where do letters come from? Where do words come from? When we understand where letters and words come from, then we're going to apply it to Hashem and say, oh, just like us, the letters come from our soul, from the essence, so too the letters also come from the essence of Hashem. It's just that it's not revealed